Captain Sam, can you hear me? On your left.
Thanks for the ride, Uncle Ben.
Wait a minute, Peter. We need to talk anymore. You shirk your chores. You have all those weird experiments in your room. You start fights at school.
I didn't start that fight. I told you that.
Well, you sure as hell finished.
What was I supposed to do? Run away?
No, you're not supposed to run away. But Pete, look, you're changing. I know. I went through exactly the same thing at your age.
No, not exactly.
Peter, these are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into. This guy Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can be human doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Peter! Peter!
Peter!
Peter!
Assemble. I am inevitable. And I am Iron Man.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Marvelous Discussions. Oh boy, this is gonna be great. So, the Marvels movie is coming out next month. So, we're starting another hype series to talk about all the projects to get ready for this next movie. For Loki season 2, we will be reviewing 2 episodes at a time. So next week we'll be going over the first 2 episodes of Loki. But today, you saw the title? We are talking about Captain Marvel. No, not DC's Shazam. Marvel's Captain Marvel. So join me as we bring on Sox Bulletin. How are you today?
Hey, Bad Dan. I'm glad to be back as always. Yeah, we're going to be discussing Captain Marvel and how I truly feel about this movie. Hey guys, glad to see you all back on the listening to us ramble on about this wonderful film. Trust me, it's not wonderful at all. I'm being sarcastic. Let's go.
What? You don't like Captain Marvel socks?
It's one of the most least favorite films of the MCU that I care for. And I'm being mildly decent when I say that.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's not waste any time then. Before we start the show, we're going to give our usual reminder, though. Guys, please donate to the family of Mikey Sutton. He was a great friend to us all. And hold on, just donate to the family of Mikey Sutton. He was a great friend to us all. Okay, hold on a second. There's an echo on one of our ends. Let me see if it's on my end or your end.
I'll go out and I'll come back. How about that?
Okay, sounds good. Oh, I have the echo. Oh wait,
You
no.
got it?
Well, if you're hearing me echo, that would mean it's on your end. If you were hearing your echo, the issue would be on my end. Sorry, guys. StreamYard is misbehaving again.
Got it.
Tell you what, we'll both. You back out first. I'll hold the fort down. Then I'll back out and you hold the fort down.
Yep, it does that.
Yep, sorry about the technical issues, people. Yep, StreamYard is always having issues, so... Sorry, guys, I'm hearing...
Hey.
Sorry, I see Sox's voice bubble moving, but I don't hear Sox on my end, so I don't know if it's an issue on my end or an issue on Sox's end. So, that's StreamYard for you. So, anyways, guys, please donate to the family of Mikey Sutton. He was a great friend to us all, and through him, we've met so many wonderful people. And his family's still paying for expenses, funeral expenses, medical expenses. So, please, donate $1, share it. Anything helps. I'm going to back out, Sox. You hold down the forts. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. So hopefully Sox will be back too, and we have this whole StreamYard situation figured out. Sorry about that. Can't have nice things sometimes. So, yeah, anyways, guys, I know we kind of lost track here, but anything you can do to help out the family is really appreciated. So link to the GoFundMe page is in the description. Let's see actually where we're at right now with it. Over halfway to the goal, so I'm sorry, I'm kind of dragging out this portion until Sox gets back. Just StreamYard cannot behave for like 5 seconds sometimes, but again, guys, please consider donating. Tell you what we're gonna do again.
Captain Sam, can you hear me? On your left.
Thanks for the ride, Uncle
Now,
Ben.
wait a minute, Peter. We need to talk anymore. You shirk your chores. You have all those weird experiments in your room. You start fights at school. We
I
don't
didn't
know.
start that fight. I told you that.
But you sure as hell finished.
What was I supposed to do? Run away?
No, you're not supposed to run away. But Pete, look, you're changing. I know. I went through exactly the same thing at your age.
No, not exactly.
Peter, these are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into. This guy Flash talked. He probably deserved what happened. But just because you can be doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Okay, looks like Stocks is back. Okay, testing now. Say
Yeah, I
something.
had to try it on my computer back then. My phone is acting goofy now. I don't know what's going on with this stream.
Well, anyone in the chat, can you hear an echo now, or are we good? Let us know. And until then, so let's not waste any more time. Let's not drag out this Captain Marvel review longer than it needs to be. So, first thoughts. Agent Coulson, what did you think when you saw him again, at least in theaters, at least in the movie side of things again?
Coulson is always a blessing in disguise, man. You know, when you get Coulson, you're always going to be having some good stuff with him because the guy is dedicated to being who he is, and I have no issue with him. And plus to see him a little bit younger because the movie's set in 1995, which is always a good thing. So I actually enjoyed that.
Yeah, and what I liked about seeing that is you really saw the kind of the evolution of Coulson and Fury's relationship. Is that Coulson and Fury really have a real tight bond between the two. Is that Coulson is completely loyal to Fury, and in the beginning and in this movie we see that. You see Coulson has a chance to turn Fury in, but then Coulson's instincts tell him to trust Fury, to that Fury must have a good reason, and he covered for Fury's escape, and that's nothing minor. That's really huge. How they kind of small thing that's established their relationship.
Exactly. You know, there's a tight friendship and a bond between both Fury and Coulson that lasted a long time.
Exactly, and you see it a lot more in these other series and movies. And it was just interesting seeing Coulson being kind of a lot more like new to the job. Is that you could tell that his demeanor was a little different from the Coulson we see in the present day. Is that he's still a little unsure, still kind of when you're the new person on a job and you're still learning everything.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah, I'll say this: Coulson was one of the few bright spots to me in this movie. So let's move on now to Talos and the rest of the Skrulls, honestly. And this is my issue I had with the Skrulls, is that they did a lot of damage on Earth to be considered good guys. Like the one impersonating Coulson, was that Talos or was that a different Skrull? I don't remember, but he was choking Fury. I'm like, wait, how are they supposed to be the good guys?
See the scrolls. It seems to me like one minute you don't know who's who, and one minute you think one's a good guy, one's a bad guy. It is very confusing with the scrolls because if I go with Marvel Comics logic, compared to MCU logic, is going to really confuse people. Okay, because in the comics, the scrolls are not always good. You know, a majority of them are bad, but depending on who you ask, of course. But it can be a conflicting and confusing mess at times.
Yeah, it is. It really is in this movie. Is that I mean, there are times it felt like when I was watching the movie. So you know when you do a twist at the end of a movie, and if it's a good twist, you look back and you're like, oh, everything makes sense now. But in this one, it felt like I don't know, like to me in some ways, there's certain things that tell me not, certain things that tell me so, that it felt like the Skrulls were not necessarily meant to be the good guys at the beginning of this movie. But I don't know. I can't tell honestly. I'm so indecisive on that because there's not a lot. I don't know. Like there's just nothing really with them. Really, is that they just do a lot of question. The Skrulls just do a lot of questionable things. But I don't know. I guess at the same time, though, it makes sense is that they're hiding from the Kree, so they have to do what they can to survive at the same time. So I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be too hard on the Skrulls. Look with that in
No,
mind.
I mean, well, the scrolls. I mean, to me, the scrolls and the Kree are, even though they're bitter enemies, trust me, they've caused both races have caused problems for the heroes in the comics multiple times. So neither one is actually pure good, you know. But I'm not a huge
Yes,
fan
Secret
of
Invasion.
yeah, exactly. Secret Invasion. You got that right perfectly. Exactly.
But you're not. I'm sorry. You're not a huge fan of what?
I'm not a huge fan of both the Scrolls or the Kree. You know, I've always I wouldn't trust either alien race there was.
Exactly. Just the actions of the alien race. I mean, both have been bad. And
Oh,
I guess about Talos himself. What do you think about Talos himself in this movie?
he seemed to be, you know, more along the lines of a very level-headed character. He was more along the lines of doing whatever he had to do to save his species. So I mean, it wasn't like he had a separate agenda against Fury. He knew where he was at. He knew what he wanted to do. So I mean, and he proved it. And he proved it several times over. And that's what led into the Secret Invasion show. So I had no real issue with him. My issue was later on down the line with the rest of that movie.
Yeah, fair enough. I didn't really have too many issues with Talos himself. I mean, he had some funny kind of one-liners to be like telling Carol Danvers or Veer, I guess we should say at the time that, "Hey, where are you going? We're just getting to know you." I don't know. So I mean, he has some funny stuff coming from him at least, not other people in that exchange. But I don't know. Talos himself wasn't too bad. So now let's get into Yon Rog. This is Carol Danvers' mentor person, the Kree mentor person, the one who was training her to fight, and then obviously turned out to be the bad guy. What's your opinion on this character?
This is where my hate for this movie begins right here because it's all over the place. It's not who is supposed to be Captain Marvel, and I'm sorry, this is and the very fact that they added this and we find out it's not actually this, it's somebody else, and I'm like, so basically you're saying that this is the supreme intelligence. That is not. You are really screwing up the story with me now. This is really the part of where the film just dives into a crater of a bomb dropped on it. Like, please stop doing this to Captain Marvel. This is not Captain Marvel.
Man, Sox, tell us how you really feel about this.
Okay, since you asked for it, fine. Captain Marvel is Captain Marvel. 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 Her character is not even the next Captain Marvel. That goes to Monica Rambeau, which is actually full time or spectrum, whatever you want to call it. Her character is Miss Marvel. She doesn't show up as Captain Marvel till decades later. The very fact that the MCU decided to retcon this thing and make her Captain Marvel when it's not her, it's Marvel, bothered me to no end. What the fuck is this? I was pissed.
Well, and we'll get into Carol Danvers a lot more later on, and definitely save that because I definitely want to hear more. But to me, from my perspective, Jan Rogue is that very generic villain. He was very. I'll put it like this: he's a more generic version of what Ra's al Ghul was essentially in Batman Begins. The hero's mentor who turned out to be bad. Only Ra's al Ghul was actually a cool character, and this guy, well, was just bland and generic. So, honestly, I don't have too much to say about this character either. So let's move on to Monica Rambeau, or more specifically, since we've seen her in WandaVision, we'll say young Monica Rambeau. What's your opinion on this character?
I have a good, I actually like that character. I really do, because to me, I knew who she was going to grow up to be. I have never had an issue with Monica at all, because she was never meant to be a forced replacement. Okay, she was actually in the comics the next Captain Marvel. Okay, at the Marvel died of cancer, and they killed off his character back in the late 1970s, and she took the mantle, okay, which she deserved. She earned it. This whole thing with Carol Danvers, oh God, help me, man! It's like, dude, I can't wait to see Rogue come in and take away your powers and put you into a coma for the rest of your life.
At least with what you said about Monica, I agree. I'll be honest, I have more issues with Monica later on in her adult life in WandaVision, but we'll get into that when we talk WandaVision in 2 weeks. But me, I don't know. I didn't have too many issues with Monica and this character. I liked her as like kind of the young, enthusiastic kid, the one who who really looked up to her mom, who looked up to her Aunt Carol. She was a kid character I really like, because kid characters to me are very hit or miss. I had no issue with this character, honestly. I think she did exactly what she needed to do in this story, and I like that she was the one who kind of helped Carol get her new suit. Well, I guess technically it's the same suit, but her new suit design, her new suit color pattern. So yeah, I like this character, but now this is the issue I had with Maria Rambeau, is that you know how she was saying I can't leave my kid because I'm a parent and I shouldn't go on a life risky mission when I have a kid.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt here. Like,
Yeah.
she was saying exactly what the viewers were saying and then did it anyways. It's like, when like a movie feels like they just kind of acknowledge the problem, thinking, oh, if we just acknowledge it, it will go away.
It kind of reminds me of those old school horror films from the 80s. If you hear a noise in the basement, you go investigate the noise in the basement, knowing that there might be a psycho killer with a butcher blade down in the basement. Why would you go towards the danger?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, I get the point of the character. I get the point of the character is that she's a badass and she wants to help out her friend Carol Danvers. But when you have a kid, your kid comes first, and she's a single parent. There is no dad in this picture, just grandparents. But so for her to risk her life on like that, I don't care. I know she's like, oh, I've done testing stuff before. No, this is different. This is going into space. This is not the same thing. So I had an issue with Maria Rambeau doing that. I do like that I do like her friendship with Carol Danvers. I do like that she seemed to how she was trying to reach out to her friend, and how she did have a real reaction to seeing her friend with amnesia being a different person. So there were some things I did like about this character. What about you, Sox?
I agree with all that. You definitely hit on every subject I was thinking about at the same time when you were talking about it. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And if you, Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I don't think I can add any more to what you just said. You're right.
Okay, sounds good. So now I have a feeling you have a lot to say about this next topic, Socks. Marvel, the so Carol's mentor person, the runaway Kree. Tell us what you think about this character. Go all out.
Is this the one that was played by that one male actor that claims to be the teacher that gave her abilities or whatever? Oh God, help me! I'm gonna get an aneurysm. Oh God. Okay, now I gotta take a deep breath because this movie bothers me. And I am a hardcore MCU fan. I love the MCU, but I am not a fan of this movie. And I own this movie, and I hate myself because I bought this movie. Now, if people knew anything about Marvel, about the Supreme Intelligence, about any of these characters, why on earth would you skip a great Kree character by the name of Captain Marvel and go all the way to Carol Danvers? You're skipping so many other characters, including Monica Rambeau, right? The woman is literally the second thing, to take up that mantle, other than the original. There should be no other person to take this mantle of this character besides these two. Start with Marvel, do a story with him. Hell, if you wanted to kill off Marvel, fine, give him a heroic death, then bring in Monica, let her take over the spot. I can live with that. That's canon. I'm fine with that. Tell a good story. Do not give me a feministic woke bullshit tale that makes me want to hate myself because I have an XY chromosome and not an XX chromosome. What the fuck is this?
Okay, so I take it you did not like what they did with Marvel in this movie.
I hate it. And then on top of that, they made the Supreme Intelligence into a net betting. And I'm like, wait, what? What the fuck? Nothing against her as an actress, but what the hell are you doing to me? And Jan Rog, I don't even know what his place was there other than being a male punching bag for Carol Danvers in the first place. It's like, I hate men. I must do what I must to provide and win this war. Go F yourself in the horse you rode in on.
I mean, so in terms of again, since I don't know any of the comics like that, I have a bit of a different perspective. Is that again, she was what at least what they did with Marvel in this movie was interesting. Is that she was a runaway, and I'm going to actually get to something though. Is that I liked her story arc. Is that she was a runaway Kree who's I kind of think like Carol Danvers was trying to do what was right. The issue though, we didn't see enough of her. Is that I felt like and again, I know this character was supposed to be male, but even if they made her female, the thing is, there was still a lot of good story with this character that I would have loved to see. Here's the thing. I mean, with more obscure characters on my end, I can kind of get over a gender swap a little bit if you make the character cool. And my issue with Marvel is that, in a way, I think they did. But they killed her off so quickly.
But
like, why did you do that? Like, I want to explore this character more. I thought she was much more interesting than Carol Danvers, honestly.
But what gets me though is when you take Annette Bening and you try to make her a Marvel, and that's what bothered me because, dude, you just shitted all over the legacy of Marvel just by because you not only took away Marvel's heroic side of what he was doing for everybody in the galaxy, you took him and you flipped him into this, and then you made him like basically like you hate all men, and you're making this woman pure evil, and I'm like, oh God, don't do this to me. It is such the polar opposite of what Captain America: The First Avenger was. When that movie was so uplifting to show you what Steve Rogers was and what he went through to become Captain America, this movie here is like, nope, I have breasts, I'm a woman, hear me roar, don't mean shit to me. I can go blah 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 blah, and you gotta go wait, and I'm like, oh God, help me here.
Yeah, and well, I mean, we'll definitely get more to in Carol Danvers later on, or pretty soon actually. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like this character they could have done so much more with Marvel. They could have honestly. This should have been her movie. If they used this actress, made it her movie, I think it would have been a much better, more well-received movie. To be, in my honest opinion.
I can see that, but I'm to the point. I'm old school, man. Make it Marvel. Make it the dude that was supposed to be Marvel. And again, you could have did a whole story of Marvel being the hero that he is. If you wanted to kill him off at the end of the third act, bring in Monica Rambeau, let her take out the mantle, and then kill the bad guy that killed him, and go from there. You got to work a story there. That's fine. That's living up to the legacy of this character, of these characters. They didn't do that. They just basically took their idea, stuck it on Carol Danvers, and said, hey, by the way, you're the new Captain Marvel. Here we go. No, that's not how that works.
Yeah. Again, they definitely seem like they were trying to check off certain boxes, and I'll just say it like that. And I do have, and when we get into this part of the topic, I do have my own thing I really want to say about that because I think it's very important. But now let's get into a character, in my opinion, they ruined. Nick Fury. Yes, what they did with his eye. I will never forgive that. I will never forgive that Nick Fury had this badass story about his eye and a freaking cat or whatever they called it, an alien cat scratched his eye, and that is the stupidest thing I have ever seen in my life.
Now, if I remember correctly, if anyone in the chat read Ultimate Marvel when Nick Fury was first introduced in the Ultimate line, not the Sits line, and yes, I know the MCU is different than the comics itself, but in the Ultimate line, if I remember correctly, and please again correct me if I'm wrong, the way Nick Fury lost his eye in the Ultimate line is he put, if I remember correctly, is he put Wolverine in a cage. And Wolverine got out and cut out his eye for sticking him in that cage. Because, you cannot trap Wolverine. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. But what you said back then, this was the most dumbest, stupidest thing to be done to Nicholas J. Fury, the future director of S.H.I.E.L.D. What the F was that? Now, I like the cat. I had no problem with the cat, but to take out Fury, and it made no reason to do it. It had no reason to do that. And then Fury goes on saying, like, he basically lets it go. He basically lets it go. This cat took your eye and you let it go?
I mean, well, he did. I mean, remember in Winter Soldier, he told Captain America, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
Right.
Like, you trusted the cat or the Flurkin afterwards.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but Fury should have took that cat and put it into an airlock and sent it into deep space.
Yeah. That's what I would have done, honestly. If you take away my eye, oh yeah, no, you're not coming anywhere near me ever again. So, and that's what kind of ruined Nick Fury's character, because the Nick Fury from Marvel Phase 1 never would have hung out with anyone who took his eye. Never would have done that. The Nick Fury that I know never would do that. But this Nick Fury, and this is, I guess, kind of the issue with how Nick Fury is portrayed at times, is that he comes off as I don't know, because I don't want to say that he's less of a badass, but because it's younger, but I don't know. There's just certain things that he got way too comedic. I guess Nick Fury was played off for laughs too much in this movie.
Sin Habit points out the reason how Fury lost his eye. Thank you, Sin. I did not know that one. Thank you so much. Okay, that makes sense now. Because I was trying to figure out if Wolverine was the one that took his eye, but thank you, Sin.
Okay, so not quite Wolverine, and but still Wolverine was involved,
Yeah.
and obviously they weren't gonna replicate this in the MCU because at the time Disney did not have the right
Yeah.
to Wolverine's character. But again, maybe we just didn't need the origin of Nick Fury's eye in this movie.
Well, Qatar here says something, and I can answer Qatar's question. Qatar says, I still don't know how Nick Fury was race swapped in the comics. I can explain that because I know that one. In the Ultimate line, when Brian Michael Bendis, that motherless writer, hack of a writer, he created his version of Nick Fury for the Ultimate line, not the regular 616 Nick Fury. He created the Ultimate Nick Fury, and he based it off Samuel Jackson because the Ultimate line of comics was supposed to be totally different than the 616. We all know this. Okay, when the Ultimate line finally came to an end, they were starting to bring characters from the Ultimate line universe into the 616. The rumor is, if you believe this, and I kind of might have to believe this one, is that Samuel Jackson found out that that character was actually really based on him. And the story goes he may have threatened to sue Marvel Comics over that because he didn't give his permission to have his likeness made into a character, and they had to work out a deal where Samuel Jackson would actually play that character in the MCU later on down the line. As time progressed further, that character, Nick Fury from the Ultimate line, was pulled into the 616 Marvel Universe. In the previous Nick Fury, the one that we all have known for decades, was like phased out and became some other character, like a future watcher on the moon. It's a whole other storyline altogether. I'm not going to get into that. But basically, that's what that was all about.
Yeah. But I love that. But hey, I'm glad that Samuel Jackson sued, and he has every right to. It's his likeness, it's his.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really interesting story. Did not know that. And but yeah, but in this movie, I don't know. There was something about Nick Fury that just didn't quite. I don't know. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson did a good job, and I think they did a really good job on the de-aging with him. And again, maybe this
Oh,
isn't so much Nick Fury. This could be more Carol Danvers. And actually, before we move on to her, do you have anything to add to Nick Fury in this movie?
just one last thing. What Qatar just said. Brian Hitch designed the Ultimate Nick Fury. Yeah, that's true. But he designed it because of Bendis. Bendis came up with the character. I can go into a whole video by why I dislike Brian Michael Bendis as a writer and what he's done to Marvel Comics and DC. And he's ruined DC Comics for a lot of things too. What he did to Superman was horrible. What he did to Marvel was even way worse. So yeah, I know about him. There's a whole history there, but that's up for another rant video for another day.
Fair enough. And so all right, David Hasselhoff did play Nick Fury in some movie, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a TV movie years ago, back in I believe the late '90s. Fox did it, I think it was. Yeah, I think Fox did it, and it was a TV movie. Yeah, if you got some time to spare and you don't mind watching bad movies, there you go. Hey, Zon.
Oh,
Yes,
Zod Rider's in the chat.
yes.
Oh, what up, Zod Rider?
K-Tar, you're right. Nick Fury does have a super soldier serum, but it's not called the super soldier serum. Nick Fury has a serum called the Infinity Serum. That's what it's inside of him. The Infinity Serum is what keeps him it slows down his aging process. That's exactly what that does.
Oh, maybe. Oh, really interesting. Really, honestly, I enjoy hearing more about the origins of Nick Fury in the comics than I did watching this movie. And here's the biggest issue with this movie, though. The biggest issue with this movie is I think Sil Abdul even says when your film has a protagonist problem, it's not going to do well. And that's exactly what actually both DC's Captain Marvel and Marvel's Captain Marvel both have a protagonist problem.
Yeah.
Calling you out, Zachary Levi.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Carol Danvers. Like, probably the most unlikable lead in the MCU. Okay, so here's the point I kind of want to make right now is that so like so it seemed like they made Carol Danvers like powerful right away because they wanted to have a badass strong female lead. But here's my issue with that. I think females deserve the same type of story that males do. Is that seeing the character struggle and work for that. We all go through that as human beings. And I think, to me, in my opinion, it diminishes the very objective you are trying to do when you have a woman superhero just be good like that. I don't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see that for a male character. And in my opinion, I think females deserve much better than Captain Marvel, than how she was able to just be powerful just by being the main character. So no, that I do not like how she was just good at everything so quickly and so magically. Just like look at Spider-Man. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. He had to struggle for his powers. He was learning how to use his powers, and it's one of the best movies out there. Man of Steel, Henry Cavill, same thing. He had to struggle. He had to learn to adapt to using his powers. And again, it's my third favorite movie ever, right under Batman v Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League. The point is, when I see the hero struggle, I want to see the hero struggle. I want to see the hero learn to use his or her powers. But I do not ever want to see a hero be good just by being the main character. Females deserve much better than that, than not seeing the struggle that any superhero goes through.
Captain Marvel is definitely a very hardcore pro-feministic film. That's basically what it's designed to be. Because they really want you to believe that if you get these special abilities, you can do everything you need to do right away.
Yeah, exactly. And it's what Zabra, and I just love what Zabra says here. Yes, exactly. And look, I don't normally like to get into these kinds of topics on this channel. I normally try to avoid these kinds of topics on this channel like the plague, but we're reviewing Captain Marvel, and let's be honest, this is an issue with this movie, is that, I'll put it like this. The only thing I'll say with being female is that I do one... No, I'm not... lost my train of thought right there. But here's the thing I'm going to say, is that saying that I have to think a movie is good just because it's female-led, that is an insult to women, honestly, for me to do that. Because that's saying that I'm going to lower my standards for a female-led movie. Because to me, that's basically saying female-led movies can't be as good as male-led movies. So I should just lower my standards for subpar content. No, absolutely not. I think females deserve just as good a movie as males do. And for me to say that to lower my standards because it's a female-led movie, I will not do that. I will never do that. Wonder Woman is one of the best superhero movies out there because they made the female character a good character. Because again, same thing. Wonder Woman had her own struggles as well. That is a superhero movie that I love. But I will never say that a movie is good because it's a female-led movie. That does not help anyone, and I refuse to ever diminish the value of a female-led superhero movie by lowering my standards. Not gonna happen.
I fully agree, man. I mean, you can tell a great story with a female lead if the story is strong and solid, and it's not meant to be disrespectful or rude or evil towards anything else, but just tell that story. I'm all for it, man. Alien proved that with Sigourney Weaver. Aliens also the sequel. Terminator 2 with what's her name that played Sarah Connor. The Sarah Connor Chronicles. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You can tell these great stories. Just keep, you don't have to write a damsel in distress, and you don't have to write a Mary Sue. Just tell a great story. I don't care if it's got a male in it as the lead or a female in it as the lead. As long as the story's solid and the acting is solid, I'll watch it. Let's go.
Well, exactly. And actually, another point I want to bring up is that, and again, I know not everyone in the chat liked this series, and everyone has their own opinion. But me personally, I love the Ahsoka series. It had its issues,
Mm.
definitely, but I really did like the story because to me, it was a good written story, at least in my opinion. With some issues, sure, but I loved Ahsoka's character. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I will not. And did you hear about this, Socks? Brie
Mm.
Larson calls out Chris Hemsworth for being lazy and phoning it in. I didn't hear
Really?
about that.
Neither did I, but God, that woman. I swear to Christ, that woman.
Well, exactly. Okay, Sigourney Weaver. Exactly. I mean, I haven't seen the Alien movies myself, but
Oh, they're great. If you watch just the first two, Alien from 1979 and then Aliens, the sequel 1986, those two movies are great. And just give it a chance, man, both of them. And I would avoid the sequels altogether, but the first two, they're really good. John Carver, not John Carver, James Cameron did the second one, and it's amazing. There's an argument can be made online which is better, the first one, Alien, or by Ridley Scott, or the second one by James Cameron. That's a personal opinion on how you should see it, but I would highly recommend both Alien from 1979 and Aliens from 1986.
okay, I'll have to check that out. DM me again the exact movie titles with the years after the show, so I see it in writing. I'll definitely check those out. But
Okay,
I kind of want, since Havoc said something, brought up Brie Larson, and this is another thing I have an issue with the movie. I don't think Brie Larson was a good actress in this movie. I don't know. I
yeah,
can't say for her other projects she's been in, but in this movie, she didn't impress me at all.
I,
In the opening fight with the Skrulls, she had terrible delivery with those one-liners. Is that there was a certain in the beginning, she's like, "Does anyone want to tell me how to get these handcuffs off?" No. She goes so fast that it just felt so forced. Like, oh, we got to give her this funny one-liner, and Brie Larson just she doesn't deliver it very well. She doesn't have she just there's a certain face she makes has throughout the whole movie that just doesn't quite do it for me. I don't know how to describe it. Can you?
it's called stone face. It's basically just like one facial expression, like just a stone face. Man. It's like, some actors can't, they don't have reactionary facial expressions, man, and that's just how some actors are. It's a whole Kristen Stewart look from the whole Twilight film. Basically the same thing.
And it's not a good look. It's not. It's not. And again, I know Brie Larson had some snarky comments about people who didn't like this movie. Which let's pull up Zonder's comment. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I honestly thought until I saw her. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dan.
Oh, go ahead.
I honestly thought until I saw who played in the sequel. Doctor Strange played Clea, which was Charlize Theron. I actually thought Charlize Theron should have been Captain Marvel. I'm not gonna call her Captain Marvel. I'm gonna have to say it. She should have been Miss Marvel. I'm tired of that crap, man. Captain Marvel was Captain Marvel.
You can say Carol Danvers. Does that work
Yeah,
for
you're
you?
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, I mean, and again, and I know another opinion that not all of us agree on is that I love the Flash movie and I love Sasha's performance in that movie. And I think I, I don't know, I almost would have liked to see her as Captain Marvel, honestly, compared or Miss Marvel or whatever you want to say, or as Carol Danvers. That's what we said. Yeah, Carol Danvers. This, but another example of Brie Larson, when she gives that, when the like scrolls make that roaring noise, and then Brie Larson kind of does it back. It's like, ah, it's just
Yeah,
again, it
yeah,
just came off as so cringy. I thought it that way in the
yeah.
theaters, and I saw it that way again. It just was not. It was not good, and she just and this is the issue I have, is that this film has that protagonist problem, as Sil says, is that the character is written horribly. She's a Mary Sue who's just good at
Yeah.
everything, and
Yes.
the actress just does not give a convincing performance. It's
See,
sorry, and I know Brie Larson probably is like, "Oh, this movie isn't made for men," and I actually heard she said something like that. If
yeah.
she didn't, someone correct me in the chat or the comment section if I'm wrong. But I'm gonna give my
Well,
honest opinion
I
about
gotta
a
go
movie
to.
regardless.
No, you should, and you have every right to. I gotta go with what Katar says here. Bree should have been as Warbird as the Herald of Galactus. I gotta go old school here, Katar. In my way of thinking, I can't wait to see Rogue show up from the X-Men and just suck the powers out of Carol Danvers and gain those abilities like she did in the comics, man. Because I want Carol Danvers to go into a coma and stay there. Okay, let Rogue get those abilities because I'm a hardcore X-Men and hardcore Rogue fan, and I'm waiting for that. When that day happens, if I see that in a movie, I'm gonna literally stand up out of my chair in the theater and start clapping and says, "Yes, that is Rogue and Carol Danvers deserves it. Go to sleep and stay there."
Zod's comment too. Brie is,
Yeah. It's all about
yeah.
agenda. Yeah. She sucks. She cannot act. And if she wants to talk about phoning it in, she needs to look in the freaking mirror. I agree, John. You're right.
And well, here's the same thing I'm going to say about same with female characters, same with female actresses. Females are just as good as actors as males are, depending on the person. As you know, some female actors are better than male actors, some male actors are better than some female actors. It all depends. But it's the same thing. To me, for me to lower my standards for a female actress and just say, "Hey, they're good, they're female. I can't say anything bad about them." Again, that just diminishes the actual cause that we're supposed to be fighting for. Females are just as good actors as males are, and I'm going to give them just as high expectations as I would a male actor. Same thing with the character. I'm not lowering my standards because that goes against everything what feminism is supposed to be, at least in my opinion.
I agree. I totally 100% agree with you. That's facts, man, because, it's BS. I cannot stand badly written stories. I don't care if it's a comic film or not, or a show or not. If you write something bad and I had to sit through it, if I dislike it, I dislike it.
Exactly. And you were saying the story, so I'll say this about the story, is that I think the story had a lot of, I'll put it like this. The story itself was not bad, but the way it was executed was. Is that I like that Carol, or I like the idea is that someone's learning to use their powers and then they realize they're fighting on the wrong side of the war and they're trying to make it right. I think that's a really interesting story, but the way it was written, the way it was characterized, that's how the story fell flat. That's my opinion. What about yours?
Yeah, yeah. I know this. See, to me, when I see that, because I watched this movie a couple of times, and I can't bring myself to watch it anymore because I didn't like it the first time. Again, I know I bought this movie on Blu-ray, and I regret the purchase, but I do have it, so that's my own personal situation to deal with. When I see this story play out and how much it offends me as like not only as a comic fan as a fan of what a story should be, because I'm all about creating something that's gonna work right. This movie does not work right. Okay, this one is just pure and utter trash, and on every sense of the word there is. And it's like if I get more into it, I'm gonna really come out more with what I have to say. Oh God, a female Hal Jordan story.
Yeah, in some ways it is. In some ways it is, except Hal Jordan's actually a cool character, and this, at least this version of Carol Danvers, is not. So overall, we both agree, story itself, not that great. I think it had great ideas, but terrible execution. So now, before we wrap this up, and again, this one's going to be a shorter video than the other Marvelous discussions because neither of us like this film. So no need to have an hour and a half rant about it. But I do want to ask this question. this film's so bad. It's a really bad film. We both agree, and the chat seems to agree. But how on earth did this film make $1 billion?
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Sock's way of thinking on this one. It's going to come out hard and fast and thick. You ready for this one, boys and girls? Okay. When this movie came out, Feige is a genius. We know this. Feige's a marketing genius. He knows where to put his films at. He knows how to place this stuff. This movie came out, I believe, if I remember correctly, couple months early before Avengers Endgame. It led right into that film, okay? It was a direct link right into that movie all the way. People went to go see this movie knowing that Avengers Endgame was going to come out a little bit later on so they could refresh their memories to see what was coming beforehand. That's how this movie made $1 billion. It's a marketing strategy at best. And it worked. It's perfect marketing. Feige is a genius when it comes to this. Now, did we all like this film? Hell no, we did not like this film. But again, the man is a marketing genius. So I gotta give him credit where credit is due. He did right there. But if you would have took this movie and say came out with it a year earlier, it would not have made $1 billion. It would have probably made around maybe, I would say, 800 million, which is not bad, give or take. But this thing made $1 billion, man. And yes, it was a scam. It capitalized on what happened out of Avengers. What was it?
Infinity War.
Fucking Infinity War. Think about it. It capitalized on that because that ended on such a down note, which it did. It was the bridge between that film and Endgame. That was clever marketing, man.
Plus Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right. So, I mean, hey, I got to give credit where credit is due. That was the highlight for Disney, for the MCU. So, there you go.
Exactly. I mean, that's the same thing I think, is that they put it at a spot where people were so invested. You had this major cliffhanger with Infinity War. Of course, people were going to want to see how, if anything, would get paid off. And the only thing that made it pay off was that small mid-credits scene. But other than that, nothing really happened. And Qatar, can you expand on this one a little bit more? I'm curious what you mean by this.
Yeah, please. I want to know that too. And there's a little side note I want to put on here before I forget. So please forgive me. I know Disney won't do this for whatever reason. I would like to see them do this. It is canon in the comics. They'll never do it. But if you look at, say, Carol Danvers' Miss Marvel costume compared to the costume she's wearing now, it's a dominatrix outfit, basically, right? Have you seen her black outfit that she wears in the comics that she wore years ago? And I used to joke online, it's like, here's canon. Let's see her wear this. You'll never see it happen in movies, my friend. You'll never see that beautiful, thick outfit. You know, that black outfit looks like a dominatrix outfit. And imagine Brie Larson wearing that outfit. It'll never happen. Yes, I agree. Zod Rider, you're right. You're absolutely right. The death of Captain Marvel would have made a lot of money. And that's what I was saying early on. If they would have did that movie all the way it is, and then brought in Monica Rambeau at the very last second to lead into the sequel, whatever, you would have had that movie would have made money. Plus, you can check off boxes by saying you had a black female lead for another new character for the sequel. Diversity. Disney, you want your diversity? There you go. There's your diversity.
Yeah, exactly. Just have good written characters, and that's all you need to do. Just good written characters who happen to be those character traits. Now, I do have issues with Monica Rambeau, adult Monica Rambeau in WandaVision, and I can't wait to talk about that. But I'll say, I do have a question for you, Zod Rider. Now, again, I know you have your own busy show tonight, so if you don't have time, I understand. But I want to hear, since you have a show with APAS, I want to hear her opinion on what she thinks about Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. Doesn't have to be anything too big, but since you brought it up, and I know you have your show tonight, thought I'd ask. And interesting, so Qatar says they cooked the books. See, I heard, and again, these are rumors. I heard rumors that Disney bought a lot of the tickets for the theaters.
I wouldn't doubt it, man. In today's world, we don't even know what's going on behind the scenes at a lot of these studios, man. We don't know. I mean, who's to know? Unless you had an insider, how are we to know? I agree with you. You know, if that were to be the case, it's messed up. But I don't put it past any studio to do anything that's messed up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And again, take this as rumor because on my channel, I don't like to promote rumors as facts. I have no concrete evidence to Disney doing this, but this is the rumor that they did do this. But I do, because, like, I'll be honest, when I went to see it in theaters, I don't remember it being particularly crowded, honestly. I mean, I'll put it like this. The second Flash screening I went to had more seats in that theater than Captain Marvel did. And we know how different those box offices were.
Yeah.
Personally, I think those two box offices should have switched because The Flash was a way better movie. But I digress. The point is, neither of us like this film, and it's fun going on a rant tangent. And unfortunately, we were going to cover all the Marvel movies eventually. And with Miss Marvel's being the next Marvel movie coming up, it was only logical that we had to cover this one. We'll do Thor: Love and Thunder eventually, another one we both dislike. Eventually, not even saying this year, but at some point we'll do them all. And for the ones we don't like, we'll keep those reviews shorter. Yeah, the theaters were not crowded, so something was definitely suspicious with that. But overall, I have to give this film, honestly, after we talk, I mean, here's the thing. After doing this review with you, I hate this film even more now. I would probably give this film probably a 5.2136982 out of 10. It just has some good special, I don't want to say good anything, honestly. I like some moments with Nick Fury. I like some moments with Coulson, and I even like some moments with Monica. But the protagonist sucked. The agenda was clear, and it just was not. This was not a good film. What about you, Sox?
2.
A 2 out of 10. Wow.
I told you, I am not a fan of this movie, dude. I am not a fan of this movie. There's only 3 MCU films I truly dislike. This is number 1. This is the number 1 MCU film I truly dislike. I give it a 2, and I'm being nice about it, okay? I'm trying to be decent about it because I truly dislike this movie, man. I'm like, and I'm an MCU guy, and like, you ruined my fucking love for Captain Marvel. Marvel.
So we got other people. We got Qatar giving it a 3.5 and Zodwriter giving it a 0. Love the energy in here. Love the energy in here. So we won't keep this rant fest going on too much longer. So coming up on Marvelous Discussions, next week we will review Loki's Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2. So that's kind of how we're going to do. We'll do 3 reviews for Loki Season 2, 2 episodes per review, depending unless things change with our schedule. And then for me coming up on my channel, other than that, I don't have anything planned right now, honestly, at this point. We finished Ahsoka, so I'm going to try to get some more DC content out because I realize this is a DC-centric channel and I barely cover DC. And I know there's some DC topics that I will enjoy that I want to cover, so be on the lookout for that. I'm actually working on something with someone right now, and let's see, Sin gives it a 7. No, she won't be. Not this Carol, anyways. And I guess, Sox, anything coming up on your channel?
I need to do another Sans Bulletins. Maybe I could rant on about Captain Marvel on my own. I don't know. If I do that, I'll have an aneurysm on my head and I'll explode, man. You know, it's like I better not do that one because Zod will be calling my house. What the hell is wrong with you, Sans? I better not do that.
I don't know. I mean, Zod hates this movie too, so he might, if anything, he'll probably give you a hard time if you don't have an aneurysm.
Yeah, and it's like, oh god, I don't want to go into a hardcore rant about it because I've already laid out pretty much what I felt about this movie and this film because Yeah, again, this is like the number one MCU film that I truly dislike, and I'm not a fan of Eternals. I don't hate Eternals, but I see the political agenda behind that film, and I did not like Love and Thunder. But other than that, I'm a hardcore MCU guy. I like a lot 99% of MCU films. It's just this one is the one that really rubs me the wrong way. Pace myself. Yeah, I'm doing my best there, and I agree. I
Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah.
it is. I think there's a reason why they made the sequel a team up film. I think there's a reason for that.
You
Not
know,
saying it's a confirmed fact, but
I'm really looking forward to. I will watch the Marvels because I like the actress that plays Miss Marvel. I like the actress that plays Monica Rambeau. I have somewhat faith. I'm trying to be optimistic about the Marvels. I really am. I really am. I like to be optimistic about films. I don't have high expectations for anything, for any movie whatsoever, or low expectations. I don't do stuff like that. I go into a movie cold, hoping it'll be good. That's all I can do, and that's all I've always done. So I'm hoping having somewhat faith in the Marvels, and I really hope it's good. Now I'll say this, which is funny. Don't you think it's kind of funny, guys, that they're calling it the Marvels and not Captain Marvel 2? Think about that for a second. They're not calling it Captain Marvel 2, they're calling it the Marvels. There's a reason for this.
yeah. Yep, 100%. And one thing I forgot to say about about Carol Danvers in this movie that I hated, she did not need to destroy that juice box just to prove a point. She could have shown Nick Fury her powers outside. Why are you damaging someone's property like that? That does not make the character look good. And Nick Fury should have been more concerned about that. I forgot about that point. It's a really important point, and it really made me hate Carol Danvers even more. And Zod Rider. It's because they know it's going to flop, so this isn't. Yep, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. And I'm going to take a chance with it. Zod, if you can do me a favor, since my movie theater closed down, you know what I'm talking about. With, we'll talk more later on, but let's just say I like what I'm watching when I get a chance to watch it. So,
Okay, that sounds good. And on that note, if you like this video and enjoyed our rant, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more unique takes and interesting thoughts. And on that note, have a marvelous day.
ta-ta for now, and avoid the original Captain Marvel movie at all costs, please, unless you wish to have a rant like I just did for about a good hour or so. But bye for now.